Welcome back to Accessible Gourmet. Today we're making chicken pot hand pies. Let's start with our pie dough. To the bowl of a food processor, add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and pulse this 2 or 3 times just to combine. Now add 1½ sticks of cold unsalted butter and 4 ounces of cream cheese. Pulse this until this comes together. It's going to resemble sand or pebbles, and that's exactly what you want it to look like. Now we're going to add a tablespoon of ice water and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. We're going to mix this together until the dough just comes together. Then we're going to separate it into 2 portions, wrap it in some plastic wrap. It is going to be a little crumbly, but don't get nervous. And we're going to put this in the fridge overnight. Next, we're going to work on the filling. Chop up 4 stalks of celery. Put this in a bowl. Next up, we're going to chop up about a cup of carrots. This is probably more than a cup, but I like carrots. And I'm using these gorgeous rainbow carrots that I got in my farm share box. But chop those up and put those in the bowl with the celery, since that's all going in at the same time. We're going to dice up 1 yellow onion and put that in a separate bowl, since that's going to be sauteed first. Mince 3 cloves of garlic. Then we're going to peel and dice 1 potato. I'm doing this last so it doesn't oxidize. I'm also chopping up 1/4 teaspoon of thyme leaves. I guess this is 1/2 teaspoon. And okay, so 1/2 teaspoon of rosemary as well. And then we're going to dice up 2 cooked chicken breasts. I just poached these in chicken broth yesterday, just so they'd be cool and ready for today when I start to make the filling. In hindsight, I should have shredded the chicken. I think it would have made less leakage in my end result pies, but I didn't, so next time I'll definitely shred it. But yeah, just dice it up and put it in a bowl. Then over a medium heat, we're gonna melt 2 tablespoons of butter. Add in our onions and saute this for a couple of seconds, then add in our herbs and just saute this until they're translucent before we add the rest of our vegetables with some salt. Next, we're going to add our garlic. a little black pepper, a splash of vermouth, and stir this around. Add in 4 more tablespoons of butter. This is not a waste-friendly dish, but I figured because they're hand pies, why not? Cook that until the butter is melted and add a half of a cup of flour and stir this throughout all of your veggies. We want to cook this for about 2 minutes just to get that raw taste out of the flour and so it coats everything. Now we are going to add in our cooked chicken. Give that a stir. Make sure everything is nice and coated. Add in 3 cups of chicken broth. And we're going to bring this to a boil. Scrape up any of that flour that's stuck to the bottom of your pan. And we're going to also add 1 cup of frozen peas. We're going to let this simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes or until the mixture thickens. And then we're going to take it off the heat. And I actually put this in the fridge and let it sit overnight once it come to room temperature, just so it would be nice and cold for our filling the next day. Oh yeah, definitely taste. And then if it needs salt and pepper, add some salt and pepper. So the day of our assembly, take out your dough, which is going to be crumbly, about 20 minutes before you're ready to use it. This is going to look intimidating. It will. I promise this will come together. As your hands warm up the butter and the cream cheese, it'll soften, and the dough will finally start looking like dough and not like a sandcastle. But just be gentle because we want a tender dough. We don't want a tough dough, which will happen if we overwork it. But just keep moving it around, heating it up with your hands, and I promise it's going to end up looking like this. Now we're going to portion our dough into 2 pieces, lightly flour our bench, and then just start rolling this out. We want to form a semi-triangle. The nice thing about this dough is if it rips, you can push it back together because there's so much butter in here, it's going to incorporate again. But we want to roll this out to about 1/8 of an inch thick. Then using our bench scraper, we're going to cut out a nice neat triangle. Then we need an egg wash, so that is just 1 egg beaten with 2 tablespoons of cold water. We're going to brush this all over the surface of our dough. And then add a mound of our filling. We don't want to overstuff. Much like the dumplings we made last week, we don't want them to pop open. I overfilled a couple, which I'll show you in a second, and they did explode, or they broke. So we want to push out as much air as possible, and then using a fork dipped in flour, you want to crimp the ends to make sure that it's sealed up as much as possible. So you also want to cut 3 vents in the top to let any steam escape. And once they're all folded and filled, you're going to brush the tops lightly with your egg wash. Put these in an oven at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes or until they're golden brown. I made little decorations with the extra pie dough. I just wanted it to be a little extra. I reopened the vents because once the egg wash went on, they closed a little bit. As you can see, I folded a couple of these a different way. Those 2 didn't work out so well. But there it is, chicken pot pie hand pies. all the goodness that you could want in a handheld pocket of doughy goodness. Oh, so next week's video is going to be an unconventional Thanksgiving dinner video. So it's probably not going to go out on Thanksgiving, Thursday. It might. I'm not sure how the editing, recording, all of that stuff is going to go yet, but it should be out by Saturday or maybe Sunday. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, click the like button. If you loved it, subscribe and click the notification bell because I put out new videos every week. Until next time.